Alrighty folks, well this is week 2 of the, or part 2 I guess you could say, of the frame build, and making some pretty good progress. Sometimes it doesn't seem like it, sometimes it seems like you can spend 30 or 45 minutes just trying to get one little thing to work out. But anyway, yeah, I've been spending, it's like every night I go to bed thinking how to do the next thing, or so it's definitely, I'm having a good time doing all this. So but yeah, anyway, let's see where we're at right at this point. Okay, so seeing as how I was going to build this frame on my welding table, which is essentially a flat surface, I wanted to basically have the bottom bracket shell sitting, clamp that down flat up on the table, and then from there build a series of shims to raise each tube to basically center it, center the tube with the bottom bracket shell. So kind of made this little chart here, and basically if you take the bottom bracket, typically an English bottom bracket shell is going to be 68 millimeters. This one came a little wide, and I'm assuming just because after you weld it up and such, you're going to face it and chase the threads and such to get everything squared up down there, because the welding will distort the metal slightly, once you weld it up and such. So anyway, in its current state, it's pretty straight, but it's 69.5 millimeters wide. So you just take your center line, which would be at the 34.75 millimeter point, and I kind of use that as a baseline, and then just took all the other tubes and divided them in half, and then from there, I've got the distance between each, basically from the bottom of the surface to the tube, it's, the 1675, 2045, 1885, and 1725, which was the goal of what I was trying to shoot for, which got pretty good, pretty close there, but see what all we did here. Alright, so I bought this super awesome Harbor Freight tube notcher. It's pretty cheap, and I got it on a Mother's Day sale thing, so it was really cheap. But I don't know. Anyway, I gave it a try, and some of the things that I've read about this thing was that you would have to, when you clamp your tube in there, it didn't quite line up with where your hole saw was, and sure enough, I practiced a few times, and I actually spaced it out with some, I don't even know what the thickness is, but it's actually a chainring spacer of all things. So I kind of experimented there till I got it centered, and I also just used some, I read somewhere as far as how these pieces here, the upper section that's basically at a 90-degree angle there. Sorry for the bad camera action, but this will really dig into a, especially like thin wall chromoly or whatever. So I just put a couple, using a couple chunks of angle iron, top and bottom, to secure the tubes, and that worked out pretty well. But anyway, the first thing that I did was actually I made some little, basically saddles for the head tube, to support the head tube there. So the reason I use these, everything else, all the other ones, I just used the standard. I made them out of wood basically, and these ones I made them out of just some scrap aluminum tubing I had. And the reason here was so with that head tube laying on there, it's such a short tube that I didn't want the wood to get burned or catch on fire, because it's going to be so close to the top tube and the down tube junction. So this will allow plenty of room for those tubes to meet up, and then basically stay out of the way, I guess you could say. And these again, if I would have had a lace or a mill, I guess it would have been 10 times easier to make these. But basically what I did was, so basically I just, I took my, just a square, adjustable square there, and
you know, just filed them till everything was, you know, had the exact same height on, you know, on both sides there. And then I took my actual bottom bracket shell and just, you know, made a little mark, and, you know, went back and forth, flipped it over, you know, on the edges, top and bottom, till I got, you know, it was exactly the same both sides. So I feel pretty good about how square, you know, I got this. Made a, you know, little line on the center line there. So yeah, that's basically what we did, you know, here on the head tube. So gave me a little practice centering up the cheapo tube notcher, and I don't know, pretty satisfied with this. So that's going to basically, you know, from here I'll clamp it down on either side there, but kind of get an overview of the layout of my table here, how it's all going to be set up basically. All right, so this is, you know, bottom bracket is going to go flat up against this surface here, and then basically from there I just made a series of little, you know, saddle blocks. There, that's the C tube. Got one for the down tube, and then, you know, of course the head tube uses the two aluminum ones there, and then for the top tube. So, you know, these are all going to be mitered, so they're all really long right now. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with, you know, I had to shave a couple of them down to get everything pretty square, but, you know, just use my little, you know, little square, and you know, you can get everything pretty, you know, just put the, you know, the flat edge down, and, you know, go through, and, you know, pretty straightforward and pretty straight there. So yeah, got that part done, and you know, the next step's going to be, as far as this, I'm going to do the front triangle first and then do the rear end. But yeah, next step's going to be to miter all these tubes, which I'll probably get into that next week. You know, one other thing that I did was kind of mocked up my little chainstay guide here, which you know, it's going to be a 135 millimeter space. So I got my dropouts in there. You know, those are normally what I'll do is lay everything down, you know, tighten it down from there. But I've got the spacing set. I just wanted to kind of mock everything up and line the chainstays, and kind of, I've got a little notch here that basically goes up against there, and then you know, from here you can basically deduct your distance off the, you know, the flat edge there from where the bottom bracket is. I can't remember the exact number at this point, but got it all centered up and it's calculated. So yeah, I'll probably use this, you know, go ahead and tack up the chainstays first, and then, I don't know, I was initially going to use this to try to miter them, but, you know, obviously with that there, it's not going to work. To, you know, if that's where the point of where the chainstays could be, that's not going to work. So I've got a couple other ideas, and basically we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So yeah, this is it for this week, and stay tuned for the next edition of part 3. Thanks for watching.